Bring on the dancing girls and put the champagne on ice. We're heading in to Sin City. We're about to win in Sin City. Welcome to Let's Bet, the show for folks who love betting on sports but hate losing money. I'll show you how to increase your sports betting bankroll by gaining confidence so that ultimately you can have the lifestyle that you ultimately deserve. I'm your host, pro bettor Scott Pritchard, founder of Pritchard'sPicks.com, home of Pritchard's Pick of the Day, 31 years in the trenches in beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. You can catch me every weekend in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Took third place in the Circa Invitational a year ago. This year was fortunate to be asked back, and they've been cutting two contestants each and every week. It's a dog-eat-dog cutthroat business that I'm in, but I'm alive and well, living the dream in Sin City. To reach out to us, I would say that you should probably consider emailing us. That's your best bet at letsbet@Pritchard'sPicks.com. That's letsbet@Pritchard'sPicks.com. Now, stay tuned. I know a lot of you are tuning in for the discount code. I give away the company store every weekend. As long as you're tuning into this podcast, Let's Bet, a 20% discount. It's good throughout the weekend. I'll be releasing that coupon code in a few short minutes. Also, we're going to have best bets at the end of the show. I have royalty in the house today. Let's Bet special edition. We're talking about a 5-star rock star, top 5 in the world influencer when it comes to being a digital creator, diehard #1 Raiders fan in the world, if you ask me, because I know the guy very well, and I cannot talk about anything without him bringing up the Raiders. My friend, Coach Greg Adams, welcome to the show, king of Red Pill content.
I'm the king of content, for sure. How's it going, Scotty P?
Well, you are the king of content, there's no doubt, but you seem to specialize in red pill content, and for our viewers and audience, you have a tremendous following. Last time I checked, 460,000 or 430,000 subscribers. Are you kidding me?
Like that. Yeah, across multiple channels.
Very
and I
nice.
do a variety of content. I do podcasts and definitely do vlogs and short videos and all of that. So I do it all.
And you were fortunate, or I was fortunate and blessed to be on a couple of your podcasts a few years ago.
Right.
We were talking
on
sports and sports
channel.
betting,
Absolutely.
and you proactively called the Super Bowl. You said Kansas City.
I called it. I called it before the season. I said Kansas City would win the Super Bowl. I know that's not a fan favorite, and I'm a Raiders fan. So last thing I want to see is Kansas City winning, but they're a tough team.
Well, you're a smart man, because when it comes to sports betting, you have to check your emotions at the door.
Absolutely.
It's all based on logic. But knowing how you bleed Raider black.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
I'm telling you that took some courage on your end to proactively pick the Chiefs, even though they're a nemesis for your Raiders.
That's right. But we beat them that season, so it doesn't matter. All right. As long as we got that win, maybe one day we'll get back to a Super Bowl. But I've learned from you. Never get too emotional about your picks. So I try not to bet the Raiders.
Very smart.
I don't bet the Raiders.
You're a season ticket holder, and Coach Greg Adams and I met a few short years ago at the Chiefs contest. We were in the club section between the 40s, the Raiders Chiefs, on a given Saturday, and we've been the absolute best of friends since. And I've been a big fan of you and your content. But explain to my viewers what red pill content is.
Well, it has a bad connotation, just like anything, like alcohol, maybe gambling. But if you have it responsibly, it can be a good reality check. So what I call the red pill is a reality check. There's no fantasy. There's no guessing. We tell you how it is, and you can deal with it. I always tell you it's not a matter of if. With this type of content, it's a matter of when. So you will face one of these scenarios that I talk about. But, a lot of guys hope. And they have a hope strategy, which is in gambling. There's no hope strategies here. And we tell men there's no hope. You have to make sure you put yourself in a better position to avoid the obvious, the reality. So that's all it is.
Well, one of the episodes that I really liked that I know went viral was for men, protect your MEAT. What does that mean in English?
Well, when you hear protect your meat as a man, you obviously think of something else, right? Whereas a sports cup or something like that. But the MEAT is an acronym: the money, energy, attention, and time. And those are the things that we pay with when we're dealing in relationships, marriages, women, dating. We pay with our meat. And sometimes we want her to play with our meat. But at the end of the day, we pay with our meat, which is money. You're going to spend money. It's just a matter if you want to spend it before, during, and after, but you're going to spend it, right? If you're in relationships, learn how to manage that. Your energy, this is what we give. Hopefully she returns it back, but typically not. Your attention. A lot of men pay attention. They say pay attention. So I say with when you're dealing with the relationships, you got to pay attention to the woman. That's a form of currency. A lot of men will pay with attention and time. Spend time is something that you expend, that you pay with. We spend time. Some people trade time for money. They work for $13 an hour, so they have to spend time at work. So these are forms of payment that you must understand that you're engaging in, or else if you think you're getting something for free, that's when you lose. And on the back end, the payment's bigger when you don't realize you're paying with money, energy, attention, and time. So we tell men, please be conscious that you're going to pay in one way or the other, if not all. And you must protect that when you're getting into relationships.
Very, very intrigued by you and what you say, and specifically your content, because you're looking out for me, yourself, our fellow man, as far as protecting your money, energy, attention, and time. Right. A lot of guys, rightfully so, or more times than not rightfully so, have been divorce raped, and you promote something called free agent lifestyle. Talk to me about that.
So I wrote the book, The Free Agent Lifestyle, and that basically is how I'm known in this space. And that basically is telling men how to take care of themselves first, treat themselves right first, and then people will treat you right first. It's kind of like the biblical principle. Treat other people the way you want others to treat you. And we also say on the money side, treat money the way you want money to treat you. So the free agent lifestyle is for men to understand that you have to treat yourself well if you expect other people to treat you well. If you don't, then you'll kind of be chasing people and hoping that they don't do things negatively to you. And then when they do, it hurts. You know, men want to fall in love too. We're emotional too. We try to protect our emotion, but sometimes we get crushed because we put too much emotion and trust in people when we're the logical person. We're the person that is supposed to think pragmatically and be responsible for our money, energy, attention, and time. So the free agent lifestyle teaches men, learn how to treat yourself first. Go on vacation, go to the movies, do things by yourself, treat you to a nice steak, take care of yourself so that when you're inviting other people in your life, it's easy. You know how to do it. But a lot of guys do it opposite. They try to treat others better than they treat themselves. That's when you get hurt.
Well, something I learned from listening to and watching your channel on a regular basis is that it seems that more times than not, women are the first ones that want the marriage. Yes. But people lie, numbers don't. 83%, I think, is the number that I read or you shared on one of your podcasts, that when the crap hits the fan, they're the first ones to bail, and the numbers bear this out. Yep. Oftentimes, women are the first ones that want to get married, but if things are not going the way they want them to, they're the first ones to file for divorce. So 83% of all divorces are filed by women. Is that correct?
That's correct. And when you think about college-educated women, they file them more, 90%. So 9 out of 10 are filed by college-educated women if they marry someone that's college-educated. Now, the reason why could be a variety of reasons, but they tend to approach marriage in a hope way. I hope this works, and I hope there's a fantasy, and I hope it's romantic, and they get disappointed because we're men, right? We're not very romantic in that instance. So we kind of get the marriage and we focus on what we need to focus on. They may feel like it didn't work out the way they wanted to. So they'll pull the rug and they'll move on. And in the process, they'll take what they think they're entitled to, which is surprising to the man. What do you mean? You wanted the divorce. Now you want child support and alimony and all of these things. And yep. And she said, this is how it works. You should have known going in. And that's when men get blindsided. So we teach men, before you invest in these type of relationships, yes, your girl will do this to you if she gets a chance to, because your girl is no different than the others. So don't be surprised.
Yeah, that's why I think we connected so well. I'm big on teaching, training, and explaining when it comes to sports betting.
Right.
And we both love women, but your point with the free agent lifestyle is to teach, train, and explain and to protect your money, your attention, your time, your resources, right?
Yep.
But I remember having a conversation, a very candid conversation with someone after a divorce, and the lady actually said, "Who hurt you?" I said, "Family court."
That's right.
Are you kidding me?
Well, that's a deflect technique. We call those one of the 12 predictive statements that people make. And I call them normie statements because they don't want to deal with the reality of it. If they ask who hurt you, and I said, do you have time? It was Patricia. Do you want to do anything about it? I mean, what is that going to solve if I told you who it was that hurt us? But it also is a statement about what they think about men. Is that if we show weakness or anything like that, we're supposed, I guess if we show disappointment, then we're weak. So is that fair? Is that fair for people to say, well, you shouldn't be hurt by something that obviously hurts you? Divorce, breakup, these things are like deaths. If you have a family, this is the death of your family lineage. Sure, a man should be hurt about this, and he should certainly be bitter and disappointed about it. But it may come worse if he is. Should they just walk away for something tragic like that? No. So we can be hurt. We can be vulnerable, and it's okay. But what we're going to be is real. So real life has happened, and it would be unfair for women to believe that they can just do this to someone and the man not be hurt.
Yeah, I want to talk specifically about what the solution, what the answer might be, and more specifically, what you do to teach, train, and explain and help and get out in front of a potential divorce or a potential challenge emotionally and in my case, financially.
Right. The number one thing I tell people is there's one cause of divorce that is very predictive. You know what that is?
Marriage.
Marriage is the number one cause of divorce. So if you don't get married, you don't get divorced. So if you want to avoid divorce, don't get married. So that's the number one solution. Now, some people want to roll the dice, and I say, hey, roll the dice. Listen, you're rolling against obvious odds that it's a losing bet. But go ahead and roll the dice. Once you do that, you can take some other precautions. You can look at prenuptial agreements, but even sometimes those fail. You can look at putting your money in all your mama's name or a trust account. Some of those things fail. Some of those things pass. But you do have to get the woman's agreement to be able to do that. She would have to co-sign that, which you will have difficulty for her doing that going in. And if you don't want to get divorced, don't get married.
Very interesting because, again, people lie, numbers don't. 83% of all divorces are filed by the lady, okay? And divorce laws, family court laws are not going to change anytime soon. And I love the fact that you sell merchandise, caps, shirts, and whatnot, free agent lifestyle. And I know, like me, you travel the world. And the nomad capitalist, he talks specifically about go where you are treated best. And again, this is not a dog women episode. We love women. It's just a matter of, in sports betting, I say the best way to win a rigged game, don't play.
If you know the odds are against you and we look at the numbers, I think a lot of men are lonely, or they may be looking for maybe an exception to the rule or a needle in a haystack. And we've all done it. We thought our girl was the best, and it happened to us. So in reality, for what we're trying to teach men is, if you're struggling, you do have to change your circumstances. A lot of men will say, hey, I'm struggling at this and I'm struggling dating, and they want me to be tall. They want me to be another race. They want me to be another archetype of male. And I'm like, are you any of those? No. Okay, well, go somewhere else. I mean, it's pretty simple. So, people might be height challenged. They might be short. And they say, well, American women want men that are 6 feet tall or taller than them. And I said, well, a lot of women are tall here in America, especially when you go to cities like New York and Los Angeles, that typically attractive, tall women will be there, models and this type of thing. But if you go to somewhere in Asia, you'll be tall, right? You'll be taller than them because the average height over there is much shorter, 5'2", 5'1", 5'3". Now, if you're 5'7", 5'8", you can compete. So you can change your circumstances.
Coach Greg Adams, king of Red Pill content, diehard fan of the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to get back to sports and sports betting, but there are a lot of parallels between what he talks about and what I do from a sports betting standpoint. So we're also going to share with you best bets a little bit later in the show, but the coupon code that a lot of you are tuning in for to get the 20% discount on pritchardspicks.com applicable throughout the weekend. Greg. Greg. How cool is that, Greg? The ultimate respect, right?
That's nice, man. Get
Very
that coupon code in and get those picks.
20% off, and that's whether it's the Pritchard's pick of the day or the weekly plays, the monthly picks, the season-long picks, or the annual picks. It's good, 20% off. You just have to get dialed in between now and Monday night. Coach Greg Adams, king of Red Pill content, diehard Raider fan. You know, you talked about the struggle is real a lot of times and I can relate from a sports betting standpoint. I've gone from one of the world's worst to now one of the world's best. And the journey was phenomenal, right? I learned so much, but I was kicked in the teeth and failed time and time again. And I think one of the reasons I've had success in contests and I've been able to make a good living betting sports for the past few decades is because I really believe no one's made more mistakes than me, but I want to talk about you and your struggle. Yeah, you're a big man on campus today, but I remember seeing one of your videos not long ago from homeless to Porsche owner, and it wasn't that long ago. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that was about 2012, 2013, but I bought my Porsche in 2021, something like that, and it had been always on my vision board, and I had a down bad situation. I always say it, went through a divorce, change a career, had to start over economically. I started a fitness training service that I ran for about 10 years in California. And it took a while to get up. And around the same time, the YouTube situation, my social media took off. So I was double dipping and was able to earn a lot of money in a short period of time. But what you were talking about was you made mistakes. I made mistakes. Part of growing as men, we make mistakes. But we have to overcome those mistakes. So I overcame those mistakes, but I had to go homeless for a little bit. I had to live in my car. I had to cook food in a park and use the restroom at gas stations and use the microwave at gas stations for a short period of time, which seemed like a long time. Like, right, your mistakes seemed like it was forever that you were going through that every day. However, looking back, it was needed because had you been successful from the beginning, you might have blew it all on some Las Vegas Sin City activities, right? And you would have thought tomorrow would be the same. And then it would have been a letdown because, you know, life happens. But yeah, I was able to rebound pretty good from a bad situation. Some men don't. They never financially recover. And that's kind of what I teach them to do. And that's one of the motivations that I have for men is to say, you can turn this around. You have time. But a lot of men don't get that message. What they do is they double down on stupidity, trying to chase the dragon, trying to chase that bet, right? You know how that goes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Trying
right
to chase
on.
that bet?
Yeah.
Right.
Good luck.
You taught me that. You taught me that. Don't chase your bets. I said, okay, let me don't chase my bets. All right, I lost today, man, but let's let those losses be the losses. Some people don't know how to deal with that, so that's what I talk about in that episode of Homeless to Porsche Owner.
How gratifying is it as you look back being homeless to where you are today? And then also how gratifying it is to help someone who's down and out, who's been divorced, raped through the system. They have to get permission to see their kids through the state, and they're paying alimony and child support and maybe, you know, no fault divorce.
Right.
The guy's working 3 jobs. It was her idea to get the divorce, but he's on the hook.
Right. Well, men don't fight. So they don't fight for their lives. They don't fight for their children. They don't fight in the divorce process. That's why they get screwed. Most of the divorces that go through are uncontested, meaning the guy says, well, I'm not going to pay money for a lawyer. It's a waste of money. And they go in there. Maybe they show up. Maybe they don't. And they get an unfavorable decision. And at that point, now they got to fight 20 years, right? And sometimes they give up. They might, you know, become alcoholic or they become, I guess, you know, frustrated at the process. And then over time, it'll eat them alive. But I'm a fighter. I fought through the entire process. I didn't give up. I didn't give up on my kids. The marriage was done, but I said, I'm going to fight through the divorce process. I hired a lawyer and lost, you know, over 10 years because it was a continual fight. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. And most men don't know how to fight through it because we don't talk, share, communicate with others, right? We just hold it on ourselves.
I think that's why you have such a tremendous following.
Right.
400 and some odd thousand subscribers and followers is because it's one thing for you to teach, train, and explain,
right,
but you've lived it. You went from homeless to where you are now at the top of the pinnacle,
right,
world class and kicking ass. So again, I know personally it's gratifying, but also just flat out giving back, helping your fellow man has got to be a feel good feeling.
It feels good because every day I jump on the internet, there's thousands of people watching me live and they want to hear the message. People say that I help them, and there's some men that don't want to be helped. They want to be in their muck and mire. They don't want to advance. And I always say I can't save everybody. You know what I mean? Sink or swim, because that's what men are about. You gotta continue to push forward. You have a bad day, you gotta be able to get up and have a good day. But I'm glad that I have this opportunity to do that. And if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't have known it. So one thing people will say is, and as you mentioned, if you have a bad experience, that makes you weak. That's not true. Bad experiences and mistakes make you strong. Iron sharpens iron. So you can take those mistakes, learn from them, and then help others through those mistakes. We all make them.
Great input. We're going to take a minute now because based on what Coach Greg Adams is talking about, so many parallels, so many similarities to sports betting. You have to be tough-minded. You have to have thick skin. You have to use logic. You have to get out in front of things, even though it may not be the societal norm to be a pro bettor, may not be the societal norm to protect your MEAT, your money, your energy, your attention, and your time. Long term, it can be very, very lucrative. Oftentimes, it's not the money that you make, it's the money that you save. Coach Greg Adams joining me on Let's Bet Special Edition, talking, hey, I want to talk about your work ethic, another thing that you and I have in common. You know, I thought I had a tremendous work ethic, but this guy right here, Coach Greg Adams, spends up to 10 hours a day live streaming. Are you kidding me? How do you do it, dog?
It's not easy, but you know, you wake up every morning and say, some days you're like, I don't want to do this. I could sleep in, but I've done it once or twice and said, I didn't do nothing with that time. I just messed around and said I could have been in the middle of my stream. So I say, let me jump on and do this. And people do anticipate or expect me to be on. So I'm like, let me go ahead and be on there and do that. There's not much more going on, especially when you are successful and you got the watches you want and the cars you want and the motorcycles and all that. What else is there to do but to work? And some people are afraid to work. They think they're going to not work. I'm going to not work and make all this money. No, you're going to work. So let's get to work.
I've learned in sports betting, the harder I work, the luckier I am.
Exactly.
We're going to come back with Best Bets with Coach Greg Adams right after this.
Hi, this is Brad Powers, professional handicapper and college football bettor specializing in the college game. And you can find me on Twitter, BradPowers7, or on my website, BradPowersports.com. But the main purpose here is to talk about my man, Scott Pritchard, who I've had the opportunity to do not one, but two shows with the living legend himself, Scott Pritchard. Love talking with him. He is successful. You need to get his picks, Scott Pritchard picks. And folks, it's all about one thing and one thing only. Let's bet.
Brad Powers, thanks for the kind words. My guest a week ago on Let's Bet. I gave out one play one time, 8 wins, 5 losses in my last 13 ATS, video audited right here on this channel. 2 weeks ago, Tony Gordon, who was one of 99 people left in the Circa Survivor, has since been ousted, but you know, he took second in the Circa Invitational a year ago, and he also won over $1 million to make it holla a few short years ago, the Circa Millions winner, champion, and he was asked back to be in the Circa Invitational as well this past year. And as I said, going in, you're talking about 2 contestants each and every week being knocked out. So right now I'm in the top 9, but top 3 pay, so I'm trying to leapfrog some people. My buddy Paul Bovey, I did a podcast, radio, TV Zoom with him and Chip Chirimbus yesterday, and Paul is one of 52 people left in the $14.2 million winner-take-all Survivor contest. He's looking good. He's feeling good. So yeah, I pride myself on hanging with winners. I pride myself with hanging with heavy hitters, and my guest today, no one's better and more likable than my good buddy, Coach Greg Adams, the king of red pill content. Best bets I'm looking at. I cannot respectfully ask a Raider fan who's emotionally attached to his team to seriously give out a best bet. So I'm going to respectfully give you my top 2 plays. No disrespect there, Coach, but again, the Raiders, come on now. All right, the 2 bets that I'm giving on this channel right here, right now, less is more. 2 college games. It's championship week, college football. Texas taking on Georgia. Bulldogs, a little bit, people are living in the past. This team's only covered the number 3 times all year, and they're not going to cover it again this weekend. I like Texas with the short number minus the 2 against the Bulldogs of Georgia. I also like Arizona State. Same situation, minus 2, 2.5. There are plenty of 2s out there, so take Arizona State, the Sun Devils, minus the 2 against the Cyclones of Iowa State. Come on now. There's nothing to do in Ames, Iowa. In December? Are you kidding me? I know the Cyclone fans will travel well just because there's nothing else to do. So they will travel well. That's good, but the crowd's not playing the game. Value Arizona State minus 2 against the Cyclones of Iowa State, and then the Georgia Bulldogs go against them. Stop living in the past. Take Texas minus the 2. See the cashier. Scott Pritchard alongside Coach Greg Adams. We met a few short years ago at a Raiders-Chiefs game, and last year on one of his podcasts, he proactively said the Kansas City Chiefs would win the Super Bowl. That's easy to say if they're already there, but he said it back in August, and he's a diehard Raider fan. Now, my question is, why?
Kansas City's tough.
No, I'm talking about why are you a Raiders fan?
Oh.
And why would you admit to that in public?
Hey, listen, man, the Raiders fan base, Raider Nation in the house, just so you guys know, man, I'm going to tell you, the Raiders are a legacy team. If you look at the teams that are worth the most in the NFL, Raiders top 2. Unfortunately, the last 20 years has been terrible. If you were born in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you would know that the Raiders are legit. They're a legit organization. Well, they're a legit team. They had legit teams. They won. They were the winningest teams in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I know that time is over. They were in the Super Bowl in every decade other than the teens and in the 20s. But it's been a hard time, man. It's been a hard time. Our fan base has a negative connotation to them, but I love them. It's Raider Nation. And also, we do have a good legacy. And look, I mean, the logo, the shield, I mean, the Raider, I mean. The
silver and black. Right? The silver and black.
Silver and black.
The rebel mentality. And I do respect you because you have the conviction in good times and in bad. And yes, I might poke fun at the fact, because as a pro bettor, I cannot be emotionally attached to any team. True. And the fact is, the Raiders stuck it to me this year because they knocked me out of the Survivor contest after my Ravens blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead. So to me, it's one of those teams, from a professional sports betting standpoint, have you ever bet on a team and when you bet on them, they don't win, and when you bet against them, they win? It's called the zigzag, and with the Raiders, I bet on them, they lose. I bet on them, they lose. I bet them to lose, they win. So I love going to the games, but I try to stay away from the Raider games. But do you ever use this emotional attachment that you have as a fan, diehard for decades on the Raiders? Do you use it to your advantage, thinking that maybe you have a feel for the personality of the team week to week, or do you respectfully stay away?
I'm not a fan, so at the beginning of the season, they're like, "Oh, what do you think about this year? We're going to the Super Bowl," and I'm always like, "Really? I mean, come on. I mean, this team's not set. Quarterback's not straight. We lose our running back to the Packers. He's doing well this year." And we just aren't a stable organization and haven't been for a long time. So I've only bet the Raiders once in many years. And I actually won that bet. But it was it was kind of like, this is an easy one. But the Raiders are never consistent on the field. They play ugly, somewhat predictable. And so I don't know what they're going to do. I know what they're going to do week to week. You just don't know what's going to happen because they play to the level of competition typically in the last few years. Their competition's good, they play up. Okay? Then the competition's bad, they play worse than them. And so I'm like, I'm not betting against that.
It's a great observation, because that's been my theory as well, that the Raiders, they're capable of beating anybody, and conversely, they're more than capable of losing to the worst team in football. As we wrap things up, Coach, how can people find you?
Find me at Coach Greg Adams. You put that in there. You put that into Google, Coach Greg Adams. You will find everything right there. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all of that. You can also find me on my website, which is gregadams1.com. unveil.com. And on there, you can get a free ebook, 52 Things That All Men Should Consider Prior to Getting Married. You get a free ebook. Download that. There's a video attached to it, and you can get that information for free. Go to my website, gregadams1.com, or Coach Greg Adams on any platform. You'll find me.
I want to thank you personally as a very good friend of mine. I know you're slammed, okay, 10 hours a day live streaming because you're meeting the demand that's out there. But I want to thank you for taking the time to come in. A lot of people were excited about having you on the show today, and I was at the top of the list. You'll be back, my friend.
I'm going to be back. Absolutely, man.
Coach Greg Adams, my guest on Let's Bet. Reach out to us. Email us at letsbet@pritchardspicks.com. That's letsbet@pritchardspicks.com. Again, that coupon code to get 20% off all picks, whether it's weekly, monthly, seasonal, or annually. Greg, G-R-E-G. For Coach Greg Adams, my name is Scott Pritchard, founder of pritchardspicks.com, home of Pritchard's Pick of the Day, currently in the Circa Invitational after taking third place a year ago. And also, because some of you have asked, okay, no one's asked, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. Golden Nugget contest, season-long ATS against the spread. Golden Nugget Ultimate Challenge. 5 weeks to go. I'm in second place, $1,000 investment. First place is $60,000 to make it holla. Second place is $30,000. They give cash back to the top 20. Last year I took 6th place. Wish me luck until next week. See the cashier.